This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei says that within 1 to 5 years, up to 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs could be gone because of AI. 50%. That's asinine. And he's saying that AI companies such as his, Anthropic, should be taxed for it, and that the government and businesses need to do something about the AI systems that Anthropic and others are creating. So is he right? Is that actually going to happen? Or is he just trying to preemptively paint himself as a martyr while sounding a proverbial alarm and placing the AI job loss blame to other AI CEOs who aren't following his lead? Well, we're going to be answering those questions and a lot more today on Everyday AI. What's going on, y'all? My name is Jordan Wilson, and welcome to Everyday AI. This is your daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter, helping us all not just keep up with AI, but how we can use it to get ahead, to grow our companies and our careers. If that sounds like exactly what you're trying to do, you're like, wait, that's what I'm spending so much time doing. Stop spending so much time doing it. Let us do it for you. Join our daily live stream and podcast, but also please go to youreverydayai.com. So there on our website, you can sign up for that free daily newsletter. We're going to be recapping the highlights of today's show. We do that in every single newsletter, as well as keeping you up to date with everything else that's happening in the world of AI. So you can be the smartest person in AI in your company or in your department. That's what we're here. We are your cheat code to do that. Also on our website, you can go listen to more than 530 podcast episodes, watch the live stream videos, listen to the world's leading experts teach you generative AI for free. There's no catch. So make sure you go check that out. All right. Most shows, we start out with going over the AI news, not doing that one today. So make sure if you do want the daily news, go check the newsletter. All right. So what the heck is this all about? Why did the Anthropic CEO say that up to 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs are going to be gone because of AI? What the heck is this all about? Well, it's the return of Hot Take Tuesday, right? So live stream audience, let me know. Should I take it easy, right? Show me with the flame emoji in the comments. Should I, 1, take it kind of easy? Should I 2, flame emojis, bring a little spice? 3, are you here for the hot take? 4, should I burn this thing down? All right. I've got takes, as I sometimes do. So let me know. I'm going to take a sip, gear up. I want to hear what you all have to say. And live stream audience, thanks for joining us as always. Yeah, if you're on the podcast, we do this thing live, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So come join us, hang out, leave some comments, ask questions. So yeah, let me know. Should we really heat it up on this Hot Take Tuesday or keep it easy? All right, let me start here. There's a lot of truth to what Dario Amodei is saying. In fact, I've been saying pretty much the same thing for years, right? So if you literally go back to the very first episode of Everyday AI back in April 2023, yeah, it's a little cringe, but I essentially, without giving specifics, because I wasn't about to, look into a crystal ball, but I said, will AI take your job? Probably. That's how I started off the Everyday AI show. So I just want to put that on the record. I agree. I do think a very high percentage, I don't know if it's going to be 50% or not, but I believe a very high percentage of today's entry-level white-collar jobs won't be here very long, right? The Anthropic CEO says 1 to 5 years. I wouldn't say that. I would say it's probably about 3 to 6 years. And I would say it's probably closer to 30%, right? If I had to say If you were forcing me to respond to his predictions and give you mine, that's what I would say. So I'm not going to say that those 30% of people aren't going to be with work. I do think the unemployment rate is going to go up significantly. And I've been on the record saying that, right? And anyone that tells you, hey, AI won't take your job, someone using AI will. If anyone said that to you in good faith in the last, 6 months, stop listening to that person, right? If you're reading someone's newsletter or, this is your AI guru, go ahead and dump them because that's wrong. And that's straight up just not smart. All right. But I've been saying this for a long time. AI is going to take many more jobs than it will replace, than it will create. Because yes, there will be millions of new jobs that we don't know exist. That's why, when I look at that 50% to 30%, I think a lot of those jobs are just going to look a little different, right? If we talk about entry level white collar jobs, whether we're talking about accounting, finance, consulting, tech jobs, etc. I don't think they're going to up and up disappear. I think they're going to look drastically different. I do think the total number of full-time roles in those white collar entry level position are going to shrink, but I don't think that they're going to be 50% vanishing overnight. But I've been saying this since day one, y'all. AI will take more full-time jobs than it will create. All right. And anyone that tells you differently, ask what their motive is. Right? What's my motive in saying that? Well, I have a free podcast. I bring smart people on. You can listen to them if you want to. You don't have to, right? I don't have anything necessarily to financially gain by telling you that. I just want to tell you the truth because I think there's so many smoke and mirrors in just the business world right now around AI, right? People, I think you need to have a very realistic view, and that's as someone that's spent thousands of hours talking about this, working on this, investigating everything that's happening. I've spoken to thousands, literally, of smart people in AI. I've interviewed hundreds of them on this show. Yeah, it is a net negative, but it's not 50%. Let's go there. All right. And let's first look at exactly what the Anthropic CEO said. So he said half of entry-level white-collar jobs could disappear within 5 years. All right. He didn't say they would. He said they could. I think a lot of people, are kind of blowing this out of proportion a little bit. But he did say that unemployment could spike to 10 to 20%. And this could affect a lot of different sectors, such as finance, consulting, tech, and law. Right. And those, if I had to pick categories, I would say Dario's actually head on. I would probably have picked 3 out of those categories if I were picking the top 5 sectors that would be disrupted. It is going to be knowledge work, entry level knowledge work positions that are generally high paying because companies just aren't going to want to continue to hire those when they figure out that these AI systems that we're all able to use today are just as capable, right, as we are stepping in 2025 from the kind of quote unquote traditional large language models to models that can now reason, use logic, think ahead, and plan, right? So we have the reasoning large language models, and now we have the ability for multiple agents to be using these models that can think and reason and solve problems like a human while using your company's files, right? So there's a reason I think it's kind of called coming to a culmination right here in 2025. Also, Dario did say, and he claims that other AI executives share the same concerns as him privately, but no one else will speak about it publicly. And he's the only one brave enough to come out and say this. And he is calling for governments to stop sugarcoating the coming job displacement crisis, right? A lot of people are calling this the AI jobs apocalypse. So, for context, right now, the unemployment rate is 4.2%. So to think 20%, that's astronomical, right? Take away the COVID-19 peak, where I believe it was at about 14%. We haven't seen anything like 20%. in our lifetimes. So Dario did mention entry-level jobs, and what kind of jobs you're probably thinking, right? Aside from those sectors, but mainly jobs that involve looking at documents, reading, researching, summarizing, brainstorming, creating reports, right? And those things I talked about, that's probably the majority of what a lot of us do, right? We read information online. We summarize it, we rewrite it, we use that information to brainstorm new solutions, right? It's just, if I'm being honest, it's not just entry level white collar jobs in those four sectors. It is a good chunk of knowledge workers in general that today's and tomorrow's more agentic AI systems are going to impact. So here's the hot take, y'all. You want the hot take? This is more PR than an actual warning. All right. Sorry. Dario Modi is not some knight in shining armor coming in and saying, yes, tax us, tax the AI companies, right? And, hey, let's sound the alarm. This technology we're building is going to take away jobs, right? He doesn't deserve a medal for that. And I don't think that is, obviously I can't judge what he's thinking, right? But I don't know, call me a skeptic, but these companies, right? And he's not alone, and you do have to tip your cap to Dario Modi for being the one big tech CEO who's actively talking about this. So he's right in that regard, right? But if you are working, if you are a C-suite person at Anthropic, at Google, at OpenAI, at Mistral, at Meta, at any of these, AI labs, you know exactly what future systems are capable of. And you know that they will very likely, especially here in the US, where there is little to zero regulation around artificial intelligence, you know that it is going to be extremely disruptive to the workforce. So again, y'all, I've been saying this for a very long time. I think people like to avoid hard conversations. I think people want to tiptoe or sidestep harsh realities. But the harsh reality is there's going to be millions, especially here in the US, there's going to be millions of people, probably tens of millions of people in 5 years that no longer have traditional full-time employment today. I've talked about this a lot. I think just the employment is going to change. I think that, in 10 years, probably, if you look around, your circle of friends, I would guess, depending, right? But, if you are a knowledge worker, if you sit in front of your computer all day, I'm guessing if you look around, 10 of your friends, probably almost everyone, if they're a working person, they have desk jobs, right? Full-time desk jobs. I think in 10 years, half of those people aren't going to, not just because of AI displacement, but I think the nature of work is going to change. I've been saying this for a long time. I don't think full-time employment is going to be viewed the same in 10 years as it has been for many decades. I think many people will start owning many businesses, and it'll kind of like, how, task work, whether you're saying, Uber or, Instacart, right? Think of that for professional services, for legal, right? I think that's going to be pretty common in 10 years because of AI, right? So I don't think that what Dario Modi is saying here is a true warning, right? I think this is actually just PR, right? And I'm going to break down the timeline later, but it's kind of ironic, right? That, he went on this, short press tour days after Anthropic released Claude 4. All right. It's my hot take. Maybe Claude 4 wasn't getting the headlines. So a couple of days after, Anthropic starts this press tour saying, hey, AI is so capable that we need to talk about it taking half of white-collar jobs. Oh, and by the way, look at this amazing model that we just released that can work for up to 7 hours on its own and can code better than humans. Oh, right? Y'all, I was in the media. I was in the media for, I don't know, what, 7 or 8 years? For 7 or 8 years of my career. It's so easy to manipulate the headlines, right? And this, if I'm being honest, right, this is what I see this as. Hey, I'm going to come out and say something shocking. I'm going to come out and say something that the whole world has to pay attention to because it is alarming, right? But I'm going to come out and say, hey, I'm the good guy here. Yeah, go ahead and tax us. I'm giving you guys the warning, right? But I'm the good guy here. Oh, and by the way, Claude 4, we just dropped it. Oh, crazy coincidence, right? If this was truly a moral and ethical warning, right, to society, why not 3 months ago, right? Or why not in 3 months? Why within a couple of days of your first ever big conference and your, the Claude 4 models that, the AI world has been waiting on? Huh. But I also think, as much as anything, this is the media's fault. Right now, you're seeing all these headlines: AI job apocalypse. But looks like Anthropic's the good guy here, right? They're giving us the warning. They're the only ones speaking out about it. He says you should tax the AI companies, right, to help compensate for this massive job loss. I'm not buying it. So, why did he say he's speaking about this now? All right. So he says that other AI leaders haven't as much raised public alarms about job losses. He believes that lawmakers and ordinary people are unaware this is about to happen. I 1,000% co-sign that. Dario called this a duty and obligation for himself as an AI technology producer to warn society. And he admits that these warnings that he's making are not in his best economic interest to make publicly. Right. And he's like, hey, someone needs to say it. But, he kept saying these same lines. Right. I listened to his interview on CNN, on Fox News, where, he kind of said the same talking points over and over. Right. Hey, there's 6 or 7 other big tech companies and, who are doing the same thing. And if we could stop today, but they would keep going. So we're going to keep going. Right. Yeah. I get it. But he wants to, he wants himself and Anthropic to be the ones that are raising the alarms, right? Why not 3 months ago? Why not 2 years ago? I've been saying this for multiple years. This is the only conclusion. This is the only conclusion. Unless you don't believe in math, science, and data, there's no other conclusion that traditional full-time employment gets blown up, right? And yeah, it's uneasy because we don't know what this is going to look like in a couple of years, right? I try not to even talk a lot about, AGI, artificial general intelligence, or ASI, artificial superintelligence, right? Too much on this show because I think the more you start talking about 5 to 10 years down the line, the more difficult it becomes to make those needed personal and professional growth steps, right? Because then at that point, uncertainty sets in. And that's not what I'm here trying to do. But the end destination is there will be tens of millions of fewer full-time jobs, right? Whether that's in 5 to 10 years, but that's the reality. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about this timeline. Funny, right? Why sound the alarm now? Well, it's good press. Any press is good press. And also, if it bleeds, it leads. All right. So Anthropic, someone over there at Anthropic said, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this now. Because then everyone's going to talk about Claude 4. And then we're going to, they're just going to go ahead and, talk a little bit about our Code with Claude developer conference that just happened on May 23rd. But here's my take. The initial reaction was lukewarm. to the new Claude 4 models, right? It wasn't like with Google Gemini and their 2.5 Pro. It wasn't like OpenAI's recent announcements, their recent releases that really just grabbed the headlines. And they're, Google and OpenAI, let's be honest, they're running away. They're running away. I said this on the show last week. 18 months ago, or maybe like even 14 months ago, you could have made the argument that Anthropic was maybe in the lead. I didn't think that, but an argument could be made. But I'd say it was solidified. They were a top 3, probably top 2, right? Before Google woke up and chose violence in December of 2024 and has been on a complete rip ever since. Now, Anthropic is, let me say this. You wanted the hot takes, right? Anthropic is not for the everyday business leader. They're not even a top 3 AI chatbot company, right? They've essentially said, yeah, we're not going down the AI chatbot route. We'll let, OpenAI and Google and Microsoft and Meta and everyone else, we'll let everyone else do that. We're going to work on the API side, right? Yes, Claude is great for software engineering, for coders, for developers, agentic tool use, right? But they're like, yeah, we're not going to do this whole general business, chatbot. Was that a specific strategy? I'm hoping, right? But I think that they saw the reception to their Claude 4, and everyone, has been talking about Claude 4 for a very long time. And, everyone's like, this is going to be AGI, right? This is, Claude 4 is going to be the model, right? It's like there's a line in the sand. You either thought it was going to be like GPT-5 or you thought it was going to be Claude 4. And then when the world didn't suddenly change when Claude 4 came out, now it's time to sound the alarms, right? So interesting, right? Interesting that, 5 or 6 day gap between the product launch and now all of a sudden Anthropic CEO is making the media rounds, trying to paint the picture of we're the good guy here, or maybe the good guy in the sea of bad guys, right? Depending on how you want to look at this. But in all of this media tour, of course, it gets mentioned that, Claude 4, and when you're working with Claude as a coding agent, it can go and work for almost 7 hours straight, right? I can almost guarantee Anthropic, after this little media round, has seen a ton of revenue come pouring in, because now all of a sudden on mainstream media, which it's not easy, right? It's not easy on the same day to go on CNN and Fox News, right? We're not talking about, MSNBC, which covers AI, or, more like tech media. No, we're talking about the big nighttime news networks. To get on CNN and Fox News is pretty big. And with a splashy headline like this, what I'm saying is they had traffic and new customers coming in droves because of this. And that had to have been part of the plan, right? I've been in this world before. That's how it works. So let's talk a little bit about this kind of scale of AI disruption. Okay. And this is what, kind of Dario's talking points here, and is talking about, well, why is this AI going to suddenly be so disruptive, right? Whereas we've had these large language models for, almost 3 years now, right? That have been publicly available as AI chatbots almost, right? So why now? Well, talking about just the capabilities, they've improved. So he was saying, well, before, maybe you were lucky if it was a high school student, right? Or the level, but now it's a college level, right? And that's why he's saying we're going to see massive disruption, especially for entry-level jobs, right? You think, entry-level job is a college graduate. So if these AI systems that, again, are more than front-facing chatbots, they are way more capable and robust. They can reason because they're powered by these reasoning models, so they can think ahead. They can use your data, right? So we have variations of RAG or retrieval augmented generation, right? So essentially, all of the downsides of AI chatbots, right? The context, the memory, not working with your company's data, not really thinking something through like a human would, not being able to go off and, work autonomously. I'm not saying those things are solved, but those things in certain situations are kind of almost solved. And so that's why we're saying, hey, now's the time. This is why disruption is upon us. And it is those white collar entry level positions that are most vulnerable, right? Here's the thing. Wall Street loves AI, right? And Wall Street hates employees. So what we've seen happen over the last, couple of years, big company in their earnings call, they say earnings are up. They drop AI buzzword like salt. They drop salt on a steak, right? AI, right? In their earnings calls. And hey, the more you say AI or now agentic AI or, agents, AI agents, right? Say that more, your stock goes up. Then what happens? We're going to cut a couple hundred jobs. We're going to cut a couple thousand jobs. But don't worry, we're investing billions of dollars in AI, skyrocketing, right? Well, how does that work? How do those two things justify themselves, right? These two, it's a complete juxtaposition, right? You're saying, well, hey, we're going to cut hundreds or maybe thousands of jobs, but we're going to invest billions of dollars in AI. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, it does make sense, right? Because today's full-time jobs, tomorrow's AI is going to be better at them than humans, right? Let me repeat that. I didn't write that down. That's just off the cuff. I'm being honest, right? So today's full-time jobs are going to be accomplished better by tomorrow's AI systems. And that's why we're seeing this AI job apocalypse conversation happening now. And because the technology is advancing faster, broader, and deeper than any previous technological change in history, right? I've been saying this for a very long time. People are trying to compare AI to the internet, which I think is dangerous and ill-informed, right? But still, most businesses had 10, 15, 20 years to very slowly adopt to the internet. You can't do that with AI, right? If your company still is not using AI in any way, shape, or form, right? Even the employees, right? Because all employees, if you're working at home, all employees are using, ChatGPT at home on their second computer, do all their work anyways, right? Or just using it on their work computer and hiding it from employers, or employers don't care, right? So I would say almost any company, you're using AI. And if somehow you're the 1 in 1,000 company that's not, you're going to pretty much for sure go out of business. Right? That's reality, especially if you are a larger organization, right? Maybe you're a small local business. I'm not trying to scare you there, but if you are a large enterprise company, which I know many people are listening, are part of that, your company's already been using AI for multiple years, whether you know it or not, right? Especially traditional AI, right? If you're in certain sectors, but on the generative side too. Even if you don't have a policy, even if you think, oh, we're not using AI, well, some employees definitely are. Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So, whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI. What's this mean? What's this mean? Well, let's talk about the World Economic Forum's 2025 outlook. So they projected that there would be 170 million new jobs created, while there would be 92 million displaced by 2030. So the World Economic Forum, at least, is saying that there will be a net positive gain of 78 million jobs globally, despite AI automation trends. And 40% of surveyed employees plan workforce reductions where AI can automate tasks. Right? These studies are some of the problem. Right? I don't believe them at all. I'm sorry. I know there's minds much brighter than mine at these big, World Economic Forums and the International Monetary Fund, and people that come out with these, lofty, these lofty projections that there's going to be, tens of millions of a net gain. There's not going to be. Well, at least not if you're talking about here in the US, because like I said, Wall Street hates employees. Wall Street loves AI, right? The more you fire employees or stop hiring, reducing overall headcount, and the more you invest in AI, the more your stock goes up, right? And y'all, I've done a complete show on this, right? The receipts are there. I'll make sure to mention this show in the newsletter. But the reason is because tech CEOs, not tech CEOs, just public CEOs and executives at public companies are making like ridiculous MBA salaries. They're making tens of millions of dollars. And they're saying, okay, well, hey, if I cut, 3% of our workforce and invest billions of dollars into AI, I'm going to double my salary in 3 years, right? So unfortunately, there's a lot of people and entities to blame here. And part of it is also corporate greed, right? And part of it is also some of these studies that I think are completely unrealistic because they are detached from the reality of the American system that runs the world, which is capitalism, which is greed. Why does no one just want to call a spade a spade? I don't know. All right. And the reality is there's not going to be a net positive gain of, 78 million jobs, at least not here in the US. Maybe worldwide. I don't know. I don't follow world economies as closely as I follow things here in the US, but I do know in 5 to 10 years, there will be way fewer full-time employment opportunities in 5 to 10 years than there are today, and it won't even be close. And what Dario Amati is talking about, we've already seen. The writing's on the wall, right? We just saw Microsoft lay off 6,000 workers, specifically citing AI-driven efficiency improvements. CrowdStrike a couple of months ago eliminated 500 jobs due to AI reshaping every industry dynamics, what they said. And also, recent data shows that 14% of workers are already experiencing AI-related job displacement. And every surveyed CEO says they are working furiously on AI worker replacement strategies. It's not good, right? CEOs are working on this. Walmart too. I think Walmart cut 1,500 corporate jobs in anticipation of AI. transformation. Meta recently announced a 5% workforce reduction after predictions about AI coding. Yeah, it's this is what happens, right? I'm trying to think of a nice way, but maybe I should just follow Dario's lead here and just not sugarcoat it anymore, right? Uh, does AI have the potential to do a lot of good? Absolutely. Can it cure diseases? Yes, it's already doing that. Go look at the research, right? Large language models are finding cures for diseases. It's solving decades old math problems. Is there potential huge upsides that we haven't even considered that are more important than employment? Yes. Yes. And I'm very excited for those. But traditional full time employment, it's not going to be good, right? Yes, there's going to be different ways, hopefully, that we're all providing for ourselves and our families, right? My thought is it's going to be very common for the everyday business leader to have 5 side hustles, right? To have multiple companies. That's what I think, because I think the price of professional services are they're going to go down, right? You're not going to be paying a lawyer, $500 an hour anymore. You're going to be, you're going to be paying an AI powered entity with humans behind it, $20 an hour, right? That's where I think we're headed. And the other thing is, well, the government, right? Dario Amati calling on the government to do something, right? Which is funny. It's like, the person breaking the law saying, you know what, the cops need to do something about it, right? Obviously, Anthropic's not breaking the law here, right? But what does that say when the tech leaders, the AI labs that are the ones creating the technology that's leading to job disruption, being like, you know what, the government should do something about it. The government needs to step in. Well, I agree with him there too, right? Right now, the Trump administration has removed Biden-era AI safety regulations through executive orders. Congress has been described as woefully uninformed about AI realities. Yeah, that's saying it nicely. There's many people in Congress that don't know even how the internet works. There's plenty of great videos online that show that. And also right now, the federal government fears when they're talking about AI job displacement, they fear spooking workers or appearing to lose the AI race to China, right? Because this is AI, we all know it's the new gold, it's the new oil. It is whoever has the firmest grasp on the most powerful AI first, you become this world superpower for the next decade, right? Whether you say that's AGI or ASI or, hey, we just collectively have the world's most powerful AI, right? Having that puts you in the driver's seat for geopolitical power, to be the main economic driver in the entire world. So yeah, you can't really slow things down. So what's the government supposed to do, right? I don't know. You can talk about universal basic income. You can talk about putting protections on certain jobs. You could punish punish corporations that are doing these massive layoffs due to AI, right? Yet their executives are making tens of millions of dollars. I don't know. That's why I just have random rants on a podcast and I'm not the one making policy decisions. But I don't think the current administration's kind of no questions asked AI approach is going to be helping things in the long run. I also don't think the previous Biden era AI safety regulations were necessarily the right approach either. So probably something in the middle, right? I believe previously we were too restrictive. Now we're probably a little too open. But right now, there's been some policy ideas floated, having something like a token tax of maybe 3% on AI company revenue for government redistribution. But Americans want responsible AI. But I don't think we're going to get that. Who's acting responsibly right now, right? Like just look at everything that's happening with, whether you're looking at inflation, the economy, current political discourse, and then all now these uneasiness with the rate of tech innovation and what's happening in the business landscape. Everyone's scared. Who's going to be responsible? I don't think anyone will be. Because right now, there's not even a comprehensive policy framework that exists for what happens when AI takes 50% of, entry-level white-collar jobs. What happens? What happens to those people who were earning good livings? And out of that came taxes, right? Which helped local, state, and federal government. Okay, what happens then? What happens when those people don't have money to pour back into their local economies, right? It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. The future that we are now sprinting toward fundamentally and systematically doesn't work. But we're going to be there. Right. So we as a society, whether that's government policy or the big AI companies that are paving the road before the cars are ready to travel, someone has the responsibility to make sure that we as a society can move forward in an era, in an age where we have AGI, where we have humanoid robots with superhuman capabilities. How does the economy work? How does society work? I don't know. But what I do know is it's going to happen, right? And this is all Anthropic's data, but they said that their internal tracking shows 60% augmentation versus 40% automation usage currently. So even about how they're using their own internal systems. And they said that automation percentage steadily is growing while augmentation usage levels remain relatively stable. Right. And right now there's hundreds of technology companies racing to build agentic AI replacement systems. Right. That's what agentic AI is. Yeah, it's fun. And, we all want to know more about agentic AI, but do you know what that is? do you understand what agentic AI is? It's job replacing AI. Right. This goes back to, earlier I was really railing on this concept of, AI won't take your job. Someone using AI will, and it's dumb because it doesn't make sense. All right. But what happens when that one person is using agentic AI and they are an agent orchestrator, right? Because then by tomorrow's systems, they'll be able to do 5 jobs, 10 jobs, 20 jobs, right? And the CEOs and the C-suite and the executives and the boards, they're not going to tell that one person, hey, go a little slower. Hey, don't make us that much money, right? With these agentic AI systems, right? Hey, how about you create some new roles for human? No. Agentic AI is job replacing AI, right? That is when a large language model has agency. It has tool use. It can go out and string multiple tasks together using your company's data. It can go build apps. It can go do research. It can go sell things, right? We're already seeing that. But this is where business is transitioning from traditional software to AI agents accelerating faster than expected. right? And when there's hundreds of companies racing to do this, that's what happens. And like I said, as we wrap up this show, I think, unfortunately, the media is getting played here, right? It happens a lot. But this whole AI job apocalypse that now everyone is talking about, and Anthropic CEO Dario Modi coming in and saying, hey, I'm sounding the alarm. The media is largely to blame for this, right? That a big CEO can just come on and say the same, talking points on multiple different interviews. And then, we're just kind of just promoting a certain product because it just happened 5 days ago. So everyone's talking about it. But I think that we need to lean more on academics. We need to lean more on economists. We need to lean more on those people investing in and building local communities, right? That's what I care about, where all of the effort right now is going into building, more capable AI systems, right? So on the innovation side, we want more agents. We want more capable AI systems. On the business side, we want to reduce humans and increase profit. I care about the human side, the local side. What's happening there? That's what I think we have to care about. Because what happens if Dario Modi is dead right? What happens if he's dead right? And 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs are gone in 1 to 5 years. I think it's something we need to talk about. And we also have to separate AI hype from these legitimate job concerns, right? And that's the problem. That's also, the sounding of the alarms, it might just sound like, oh, we've heard this music before, right? Have we? Sure. But we need to understand we're past the AI hype, right? You can't put this on a curve. You can't say this is temporary. Agentic AI, large language models, AI disruption in the workplace, it's not going anywhere. It's only going to increase steadily, month over month, year over year. And it's already happening, right? We're seeing this job displacement already happening. So I think a couple of things. Number one, the media needs to do a better job, period. All right. Number two, we need someone in government, regulation, policy, right? I think this is going to be a big part of the 2028 election, the presidential election here in the US. It's going to be, what are you doing about AI job displacement? Because by that point, it's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be pretty bad. But I also think we need business leaders, people like you listening right now. Would you be happy with 50% of jobs gone? Right? There's kind of this concept, I like to call it quiet firing, right? Companies just aren't hiring anymore, right? So maybe they are normally hiring 100 new people every year. Now they're only hiring 20. And we have this big tsunami of, baby boomers retiring, and they're just not replacing them. So it's almost like a quiet firing, right? We've heard of quiet quitting. What's happening now is quiet firing. Headcount is just being reduced steadily across all industries. And I think we're going to see over 2026, I think we're going to see some unemployment numbers that we're starting to feel uncomfortable with, here as a country, here in the US. So business leaders, what happens? Do you want 50% of jobs gone? I hope not, right? But you also need to think, what are the jobs of the future going to look like? And you need to start thinking of those now, investing in them now, because that's where new lines of revenue come. This changes. AI doesn't just change the role of the employee, it changes the role of the business. It changes how we as companies, we as enterprises, it changes how we operate and how we ultimately make money. And our purpose, whether you're a small business or a global juggernaut, AI also changes your company's purpose because AI is changing humans. It's going to, like I said, unfortunately, I think we're going to see a job loss, pretty big one here in the coming years. How does that change what your company does? How does that change how you make revenue? How does that change how you serve your community, your customers, your clients? You need to start thinking about that now. So I don't have all the answers, but we're going to always be talking about them. So I hope this one was helpful. I know this was half hot take, half like, yo, we got to hit pause and reflect on this as a society, right? Especially here in the US. I know we got people listening from all over the world, but especially here in the US where it is the wild freaking West when it comes to AI. And unfortunately, companies are rewarded when they cut jobs. So yes, this is equal part hot take on this, AI job apocalypse, but equal part like, yo, business leaders, we need to figure this out. Because whether it's 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs in 1 to 5 years, which I don't think it's going to be, but it's got to be something. All right. So we have to be the responsible ones that start laying tomorrow's foundation today. All right. I hope this was helpful. If so, please go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter, and I'll see you back tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.